So we've had a slight change of program, as I mentioned before, so we'll be starting with our opening panel. And this is a very aptly named one at that, which is Satellite Connectivity in Asia, where APAC operators will explore the latest trends to discuss future positional and strategic options for satellite business. And that will be moderated by Pacome Revillon from Novaspace. So I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, Pacome Revillon, CEO of Novaspace, for the first time here. Used to be CEO of Euroconsult for many years at APSCC. So, I wasn't there maybe 30 years ago, but great pleasure to be invited again. I've been at least in, 15 of the APSCC conventions here in Asia. And I've certainly been following all the progress and transformation of APSCC over the years in its different dimensions. So, thanks again for inviting me this year for this opening panel. So, and our space is about agility. We just changed the time by around 20 minutes. So while I just finished my intro, I would like very much to welcome to the stage our speakers for this first session. So starting with, the other Daniel Kim, Head of Global and Maritime Business Group for KTSat. Baozhong, Executive VP of APT Satellite, Kenichi Shimotsuma, General Manager, Asia Regional Headquarters, Perfect JSAT, and Chyong Lim, Chief Operating Officer of MEASAT. Connectivity, satellite connectivity in Asia and satellite connectivity as a whole. Talking about uncharted territories and future, I think connectivity across a broad and a global scale has those two dynamics from my standpoint. On the one side, no question that there is a need for more connectivity, bandwidth, etc. It's been growing, it's been a number of commitment, investment, usage. At the same time, certainly a very challenging or competitive landscape. So when it's both exciting and complicated, I might call it interesting. So let's talk about the interesting dynamics of satellite for connectivity in Asia. Just a reminder, there is a slido.com, so will be used for questions that I should welcome toward the end of the session. But even before then, I think there may be questions raised through a poll 2 or 3 times during the session. So just a warm-up, if you can already click on Slido so that you're ready when it comes, and that will be the kind of relaxed time for speakers while it is your time to vote. So with no further ado, and just to get started, I would like to invite each of our distinguished speakers to share a few words about their respective organizations, especially some of the events of the last few months. And first impressions on the industry as it is, maybe. Starting with you, Daniel.
Hi. My name is Daniel Kim, Managing Director, Head of Global and Maritime Business Group at KTSat, which is one of the subsidiaries of Korea Telecom, number 1 telco in South Korea. Well, despite the challenges and rapid change in this market, KTSat has maintained solid performance this year, with the expectation of 3% growth still, but we have made really impressive, successful result in having new orders and contract from domestically and abroad. It's about 2 to 3 times KPI target each business group, which is really good. And we are still trying to expand our service in South Korea from our government side and military side, having in form of system integration together with the combined service program. And we're still expanding also the mobility side, especially maritime and land mobility as well. And ironically, we have secured 2 new DTH contracts this year, which is really good for us, having maybe good financial projects in mid-term perspective. Next week, 11th of November, we will be ready to launch our new space program, CREST 6A, which will be replacing existing CREST 6, and with additional government program SPAS 2. And once we launch 6A, and 6 will be relocated to another orbital position to provide a new service and new market. Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to connectivity, so mentioning SBAS is about an augmentation navigation payload for the region.
Augmentation navigation system. Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Baozhong Huang. I'm the Vice President of APT Satellite. And APT Satellite is satellite operators based in Hong Kong and have already founded for 32 years. And we are right now operating a fleet of 6 satellites with the recently joined APSCC. We have a very good coverage, and we have business in more than 34 countries. Business still focus on the capacity leasing, but gradually we're extending our business to some services, including the internet access and maritime, especially in the maritime business. Our Upstar 6D is doing very well, and right now the filling rate is excellent. And we have just, have a new satellite coming, Upstar 6E. Very soon it will be available for, for use. So with that in hand, we believe our business will continue to grow, and APT Satellite is and will be a strong believer in the geosatellite business. I think we can have a bet on the future, and the geosatellites still have a marketplace, especially when the software-defined satellite come true. So, thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sure we'll come back to that. Kenichi for Sky Perfect JSAT.
Okay, I'm Kenichi Shimotsuma from Sky Perfect JSAT. So currently, Sky Perfect JSAT is not just a geo satellite operator. Now we are transformed into a comprehensive space business company. So historically, Sky Perfect JSAT was established as a satellite operator in 1980s. In 1990s, we established a Japanese satellite pay TV platform company and merged into one company as a Sky Perfect JSAT in 2008. But recently, the Japanese satellite PT service facing with a challenge to OTT. So now JSAT is seeking to the new business opportunity. So last 5 years, so we invested some companies like IQPS, satellite startup constellation company, and Space Compass joint venture with NTT.
Sorry, can you just bring your microphone just a bit closer?
Oh,
no problem.
Space Compass joint venture with NTT, and also we invest to the Space Capital and Seraphim as a fund investment. And also early this year, we established a startup company, Orbital Laser, business of space debris business and lidars. And also we made an announcement, 10 billion Japanese yen, it's about 70 million US dollars fund framework as for new space business. So for details, so please check our website and ask me later. Thank you.
Thank you. Yao for MEASAT.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Yao. I'm the COO of MEASAT. Just to give a little bit background about MEASAT, MEASAT basically has been around for more than 30 years, and we are a regional satellite operator based in Kuala Lumpur. We started off as a Southeast Asian focused kind of a satellite operator, and very quickly we have expanded our footprint, our coverage and services globally. Today, MEASAT is one of those, we call it the hotbird in Asia region. We have roughly about like 20 million dishes that pointing at our hot slot at 91.5. And when the times goes by, we also, have to evolve ourselves. Apart from the broadcasting business, and we also start to get involved into the providing the broadband services, especially in Malaysia. We have been, very actively supporting our regulator, the Malaysian government, to provide the broadband connectivity, especially in the rural area. Today, we have serving roughly 500,000 of the rural population. We're supporting the Jendela 1 project in Malaysia, and we are, very much, ready, and with our experience and our network that we have put in place, we are ready to support, the next phase of that program. And as the time go by, as I say, we evolving ourselves. And lately, we have also, very much, go into providing the digital services in Malaysia. This business itself is basically built on the connectivity services that we have put in place in Malaysia. For instance, recently we have rolled out our rural telehealth services in Malaysia. It is just a start, but we can see that, there's a strong demand for that sort of services, especially in the rural area. So we can talk a little bit more about that later. So as I say that, not only in the satellite business, but moving forward, we're gonna get involved ourselves more in the digital services moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you, but maybe expanding on that with the rest of all the speakers, and I think, Huang, you mentioned about it. So thinking about connectivity services for the coming years, so where do you see still growth areas of innovations to bring, maybe because of 5G, maybe because of still universal access or mobility, and what is the role there for satellite operators, so to say, if we look at it from that standpoint, becoming more and more of end-to-end service providers, or changing the way you're creating the business or contributing to the value proposition to the end users. So how do you see several of those opportunities for satellite connectivity, and also how to make it happen in your respective positions in the market yourself? So maybe, Yao, you can expand, we can just turn to the speakers.
So what we can see that, in terms of the connectivity, yes, with the NGSO services in place, then they make quite a huge impact to the business environment. So not so much, from our point of view, not so much as like a new business opportunity or whatnot. I think we see that there's a more efficient ways to provide the service. For example, mobile backhauling has been around for a long time. In the past, probably it's not so much economical to provide those services on the traditional geo service. And today, there's a way that for us to be able to provide the service in a more economical way by leveraging on the geo and as well as on the LEO. So what we did in Malaysia is that we
a comprehensive solution instead of having only providing a connectivity service. So that's why we developed one box that accommodate more than 10 different type of connectivity in one box that incorporate the features and traffic management and bandwidth allocation and built-in firewall, and as well as maybe pay-per-use for the individual usage consumption. That will be developed in KTSAT to have a different type of business model, having the generating new revenue from our perspective, not only beyond a connectivity solution.
Thank you. Well.
Yeah, I think we need to change our mindset from now on. I already said several times in some international occasions that we are no more satellite operator. So forget about the satellite operators concept. We are just the service provider, and then we are competing with our competitors with the product which can be accepted by the market, by the users. So with that in mind, we need only compete with the competitors with our strengths. So what strengths do we have? And then this is a question we need to answer. From Elon Musk's Starlink, we understood that we need to consider from the customer end and then reverse to the engineering and technical issues. So technically, I know Isabel for 20 years, in GSMA. We remember the history that the GSMA is working very hard to promote the GSM family. And while at the same time, the so-called more advanced CDMA is competing with GSM family. But finally, GSM succeed. So I think whether it's GEO, LEO, or MEO, doesn't matter. The GEO has its advantage, and I understand most of the satellite operators right now has some national background or government funded. So as Dr. Kim just said, they can easily access to the government and the military or some business with some national security concern. So that is their local advantage over others. And technically, we are not sure yet, we are still not sure yet whether the LEO or MEO definitely has an advantage over the GEOs, especially when we have a secured market, secured coverage footprint, and customer base. So with the reduction of the manufacturing cost of the launcher and geosatellite, so the future is still bright. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kenichi, from Sky Perfect JSAT standpoint, and obviously your view, well, Sky Perfect is about Japan, but also all the region and the needs, the requirement you would see.
Yeah. Okay, so as for the connectivity, so it's kind of different from satellite connectivity, actually. But now we are a space business company. So today I'd like to talk about HAPS a little bit. So HAPS is a high altitude platform station. So please imagine the glider is flying over 20 kilometers. So the coverage is very small, 100 kilometers and 200 kilometers. It's smaller than GEO and LEO. But however, the HAPS can focus on the area effectively based on the requirement. So as I said, and HAPS is much closer to the ground rather than GEO and LEO, and latency is quite low. So it's beneficial. It's ideal for the HAPS to supplement 4G, 5G network where the low latency is required. And also not only the communication. So as I said, the HAPS is much closer than GEO and LEO. So it's beneficial for the remote sensing purpose to get high resolution on the ground. So HAPS still under development, but we'd like to start the service in 2016 in Japan, and we'd like to expand the Asia Pacific region in 4 to 5 years. And tomorrow, so Space Compass will attend the table and explain about this in detail.
Thank you, Ian. And talking about apps, indeed it's development stage, but I think we've certainly seen also interest in releasing services or investing also in the Middle East in several places. So now it's getting closer to commercial service, as
right.
looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so we may try to give a first shot to one of those poll questions. So we may open the first one. There was discussion about NGSO, so I think it's to the team to display the question on the screen. So it's the beauty of live. So we'll give it the first test to it. As we were talking about NGSO, LEO and MEO, well, it's coming here. So if you take the time to go to Slido, so obviously there's been plenty of talks about Starlinks for pretty good reasons in the last 2-3 years. The truth is now there were some delays, but certainly OneWeb in the market, Amazon Kuiper may come, Telesat's got funding, etc. So we'll be year to year, but we could be in a situation 3-4 years out with multiple NGSO options. So it's to you to vote, to our speakers to relax before they have to comment. But for your standpoint, if you have to pick one, the fact to have multiple NGSO operators, maybe in 3-4 years, it would be a positive, more partnerships options versus current status. Not that good to just have maybe a single option. Should not change much from current situation. It will be there. It will be competition, as Wang was mentioning, and opportunity as well. Or will primarily be more competition and even a bigger challenge having more of those NGSO platforms in the skies, not even talking about apps. So I think you may have 1 minute or so. How much time? Okay, well, let's assume you have a minute to vote. And What? Okay, these are the Slido questions. That's for the end of the session, so I'll keep that for later. But before we get the votes, maybe coming back just to your points about ability to integrate both LEO, MEO, GEO all together. So how do you see the reality of the multi-orbit services? So I know it's been promoted by operators. There are certainly some technology issues still at play. You know, one terminal, several, what the value proposition. Well, okay, no one has answered, so it's 0, 0, 0. But anyway, so yeah, from that multi-orbit perspective, how do you see the maturity of the service you can offer, and what do you expect to see in 2 or 3 years? Because as well, there were not necessarily so many terminals that could accommodate both, etc. So what's your view on the reality of a multi-orbit service you could offer within 2 to 3 years? So would like to take that question.
Well, for NGSO in Korea, we have introduced, and official approval is not made yet, but we are preparing the total multi-orbit box that I mentioned to accommodate a different type of connectivity to provide a comprehensive solution to our customer. So each LEO service has probably share some similarity, but at the same time they have own unique characteristic at this time. That's why we are trying to have multiple partnership with the LEO service provider from the past couple of years. So for example, we have an in-depth discussion with the military side, providing them independent and sovereign LEO network that emphasize more enhanced security and as well as data routing. And probably we were trying to host one of the LEO service provider inside Korea to provide more security purpose. And for maritime public side and private side, they're probably more sensitive on cost and traffic speed, which is like kind of positive, primary, Starlink will be the primary choice of this section. And Korean government and enterprise side really care about SLA and committee information rate, and also we have a big participation, substantial participation from a Korean company as a part of a stakeholder as well as manufacturer at this moment. So we are trying to tailor our proposal to meet each of different type of customer requirements at this moment. So we have developed those kind of platform which are called X-Wave 1, which accommodate different type of connectivity in one box and provide different value position to us.
Thank you.
Okay, again, I think the traditional satellite operators need to change their strategy, and we need to find our differentiation compared with those competitors from LEO or MEO or others. So again, I think technology is not the only one that will define the future. So business model and how to improve your advantage and try to make your weakness less. This is the most important thing. So in order to do that, we need to understand why Elon Musk is more successful as it seems to. That they have a very easy installation terminal and cheap price and good advertisement, especially when they make use of the Russian-Ukraine conflict. So made the world known of their product. So we need to carefully design our strategy and to make use of the most of our geo-satellite advantages. So this is the future we want to do. And we still have some advantages of doing that. From the success of APSCC, we know the customers still consider the geo-satellite is one of the best choice. So that's why the business is picking up quickly, although we are still facing some increasing challenge from Starlink or maybe other LEO constellations.
But I do suggest those also involve even more cooperation involvement of satellite businesses, whether operators, service providers, with terminal manufacturers or in standardizations, that kind of issues, because it's not just technology, but still you need to have something in the end of the client.
Yeah, I think the change of the name of APSCC a very good example. So we are no more only focused on satellite communication. We have a space community, and this is a very good idea, very genius idea. So thanks to Terry and the committee. Why I'm saying that, you can see the trend. Even in mainland China, the original, very prestigious manufacturer, China Aerospace, now they have created a new company dedicated to cater for the need of the commercial market. So separate from the government project, so they have a new company established focusing on the commercial market to compete with those newborn space companies. Be it a launcher or satellite. So this can greatly bring the future cost of the geosatellite down. So this is the one simple. And for the terminals, we need APSCC to play a bigger role to unite all those players and then contribute to our satellite connectivity business, not satellite operation. So with the joint efforts of the industry, of the space community, I believe the geosatellite will win.
Yeah. Thank you. And Kenichi, maybe the same question, that also I see one question from Slido already, which was on my list, but about software-defined satellites. So it's about both how to work in multi-orbit, but how to leverage or what software-defined satellite will mean to the value proposition of operators.
Yes, now we expect 2 new satellites. So from Thales and Airbus, as JSAT 31 and SuperBot 9, equipped with flexible and high-speed capacity. So I think we can respond to the high demand area, especially Asia Pacific region. So like Japan, so lots of the natural disaster area. So we are flexible to put those capacity to those regions through requirement.
Thank you. So just checking. So no answer to the poll for the first question. My worst performance ever on stage, or do we have answers to that? No. Yes. No. Maybe we will make coffee twice stronger for the next coffee break, just to make it work. Okay, doesn't matter. So yeah, just coming back to that multi-orbit question or software-defined satellite. So way to have that future offering of yours.
So we are always, believe on the partnership. So we know where our strength is. In the local market itself, we have established, a very strong ecosystem in the market. We have the market access. So with those, technology itself that bring the market, I think definitely we welcome all those NGSO that are going to be launched. From our perspective itself, timing is also equally important. So today, MEASAT ourselves or our customer, they already invested in the capex on the terminal or whatnot. So 2-3 years times, it's probably it's a good timing for the tech refresh. So with that timing itself, we believe that there will be at least 1 or 2 more LEO constellation going to be launched. So definitely, we are very excited about that, and we're going to leverage on the situation and bring the best out to our customer. Again, connectivity is only one part of it, and we don't see ourselves just as a satellite operator. So we are focusing more on the rural digital services. So with that itself, definitely something that we are very excited. And I think that's also
and you can comment the answers from the poll live. So we had at least 3 people responding, as we have stats for all the questions. So
right.
Let's say a third of the respondents consider it a bit as a positive, better to have multiple partnership options or paths. two-thirds consider it. Okay, but that will be
as I say that,
more of a challenge.
we are positive about the more LEO constellation coming on board, and we know that we are in the position that whereby the more important thing is that we have the market access. We know who is the customer, how we going to roll out the service, especially for those global operator. So they certainly might not have the ability to set up their local presence. So that's where we are coming in.
Okay, time flies. So for the speakers, maybe the 20 seconds answer. Do you kind of agree with that? Better to have several choices. And we talk a lot about Amazon or Starlink, but there are also even Chinese manufacturers, constellations coming to the market. There's a various options. So we'll certainly have a number of assets in the sky. Not talking about apps. So more choices, maybe an opportunity, but globally speaking, even a more uncharted future because of that. Agreed? Okay, agreed then. So turning to new business paths and mentioning, and you mentioned about the APSCC becoming Space Community Council. So talking about the diversification avenues as well for operators in the coming years. So I think defense has been mentioned already, or security at large, let's say, depending on whether it's civil security or other aspects. Remote sensing as a potential avenue. Maybe there are others in, let's call it new space areas, or maybe non-space. So I think we have a second question for the poll. I think question 4. So while we speak, just the time to collect the answers. We could display that. Tentatively, we will. Okay, but anyway, we'll get started with the discussion and we'll get the question. So about those avenues, I think several of your organizations have already mentioned about certain investments you've been making. Okay, we did not display the questions, but we already have answers. That's amazing. People started to look at their phones already. Okay, but so we let the answers come, and maybe turning to you for those diversification avenues. So I think, Daniel, you mentioned several times about defense and security already. Do you see that really a kind of a strong pillar for the coming years? I know companies also in remote sensing or some IoT orders. So how do you see kind of the space equation playing for you, or areas where to invest?
Well, apart from our connectivity main stream of our business model, but we're also trying to have more customer base and reference for the Earth observation. We already set up, space data team a couple of years ago, and we are trying to provide kind of integrated service comprehensive solution as a solution, not only providing raw image or radar data, but it rather than having kind of analysis is combined together after information processing, so as a solution. So at this moment, the revenue perspective between size of our Earth observation business is very relatively small to our mainstream of the connectivity and broadcasting business, but we're still trying to have a more customer base and reference to for the future market.
And thinking of all those defense government opportunities you mentioned, do you see that more as traditional, let's say, connectivity or data supply, or integrated service, or possibly form of public-private partnerships, or different ways of working with government?
Yeah, it's always coming with the total solution perspective. So customer needs not only connectivity, but we are trying to be supplying more kind of form of subsea integration together with the platform and terminals and connectivity as well, so at the same time.
Thank you. And turning to you maybe with another question, Yao, from the markets you're serving, or for example, Malaysia. So I know you've been carrying, obviously, some X-band payloads on board, but looking more forward at what could be developed as services by your company.
So from a MEASAT perspective itself, definitely, in terms of the defense, the sovereign capacity is a very hot topic, in the market. I think, fortunately, Mr. Huang, we have our home market, and today we already serving, the defense market, and we are looking at, for the next generation, how we're going to upgrade our service purely from the capacity leasing to probably like a private-public program whereby, we can work together with the government to launch a satellite. So not only on the traditional, the X-band type of payload, we start to look at, how we can incorporate other payload into the system. And not only that, we also looking at how we can potentially, put together the EO into this whole ecosystem to serve the government. And of course, in the longer term itself, when the technology become more matured, there's also a possibility whereby we look at a very specific and small constellation and just to constellation to serve the government needs. So the key thing is that we are based in Malaysia, and we have all those ingredients to serve the needs of the government.
Thank you. Well, I see questions are coming. Yes, sorry, still turning to you, Kenichi, and coming back to the question of sovereignty. I mean, just letting people know, posting something on LinkedIn. Just last week, I think the US announced a major commitment of 13 billion or so for the next few years, looking largely at NGSO, but for communication, in that case, consumption. Europe went with their IRIS² program, since now to be going as, in that case, a concession contract with industry. Again, you're mentioning the different ventures of ways of trying to develop the business in Japan or market you're serving. So what's your standpoint as well at those opportunities? And interestingly enough, I think remote sensing, quite the same, still relatively small in the global revenues, but one of the growth drivers, I think, in your last quarterly results, which I had a look at.
Yeah, now JSAT is aiming to commit Japanese, defense force at this moment. So especially, we will carry on the SSA monitor to put a new satellite, ETS, and also as well as SSA, we will of course make a development of QKD technology, and also not only for the SSA. So we are trying to the space debris removal. So we just set up a new company, Orbital Lasers. So not only for the watching the space object from the SSA. So we like to remove the space debris at this moment. So I think this is for the not only for the government, but also the commercial case would be better.
Thank you. I have no idea about how much time left we have, as we did not start at the initial plan time. But anyway, looking at the slide of questions drawing live, it's changing second by second. But okay, some question about NGSO there. One can be about Chinese LEO constellation plans. So obviously not directly developed by any of the organization here, but maybe Wang, you may have some view at it from APT standpoint at some of the developments right now on the NGSO dynamics in China and what it means, so whether you have some views at that. I think one question maybe about landing rights is just changing too fast. Is there a possibility of a LEO constellation coming out of Asia? Well, good. If you have any views at that, good question. I think there was also one earlier about localizing manufacturing as well in more several Asian countries, which may go in the direction of space investment or what space is becoming here. So comments maybe on those. So Leo again, maybe, or Wang, if you have any view on some of the development taking place from China and for as well for localization of manufacturing, or maybe possibility to have a LEO constellation out of other Asian countries outside of China. Any comment welcome. So Wang, maybe starting with you.
Yeah, I believe several years ago, I had a projection that in the future, there will be only 3 or 4 LEO operators, and this one probably will include one of the Chinese LEO operator. So I think I still keep this projection. So this is the number one. So definitely there will be one Asian LEO operators out of Asia, because LEO by its nature, it will cover the whole globe once it's come true. So this is one thing. I saw some other questions. Will Chinese LEO plan present a threat? I think this is actually is not a question. Again, by its natures, depending on how you use it. Elon Musk, Bezos, they can also do the same. They have all, I believe, if not now, in the future they will have government and defense contracts. So, and I think even the Chinese LEO operators will not be an exception. So definitely the LEO by its nature will carry a defense mission.
But do you see that coming sooner than later? Because about the if, I would agree with the question. We've seen some of those programs announced, but on the maturity of them coming to the market?
They are proceeding very well. And so the deployment will be very fast. And if you notice some latest news, maybe you plan no more, and no more than me. So they have already launched more and more satellites to form this constellation, be it for national project or for private sector. So there are 2 or 3 others, private sector operators. They are deploying their LEO satellite quickly.
Thanks. And so about any other LEO planned out of any other Asian countries, but also localization otherwise of some of manufacturing or other activities. Any comment on any of those questions? Any comment welcome from any of you? Likely, unlikely, yes, no, maybe, never, who knows? It can be no, never. How much time do we have left to make it? 5 minutes. Okay, we're good. Thanks, Terry, for that. So, please, Daniel.
Well, having the LEO constellation really needs huge capex and long-term, so we have a lot of gateway to communicate with. So I think for KTSAT perspective, we are trying to, accept and invite global LEO services into Korea, rather than having our own, LEO constellation inside Korea.
Thank you. Out of Japan or government plan, I don't think it's right now a big priority, but happy to get your thoughts about it.
So I don't have many comments for that, but in Japan, so there are many startup companies to try to make a small satellites, but still now we are JSAT focusing on to make a big geo satellite we need, because so our revenue come from the communication basically, so that's why now we are focusing on a large satellite rather than small.
But on the flip side, and coming back to the government questions, there may be interest in having some NGSO capacities or others jointly with Space Compass, but maybe more data relay and LEO overlay, etc., for other capacities and connectivity. Is that correct from a Japanese standpoint, and ability of a satellite operator to just play a role in support of those programs for either remote sensing assets or data overlay, etc. So it's more, maybe not purely for connectivity, but there can be other NGSO projects to support.
Yeah, actually, so their startup is looking at not communication, so taking data, remote sensing. So in that sense, so JSAT also make a partnership some startup company to take that data.
Yeah, thank you. Yao.
So we know that at least currently there probably like the 3 constellation is already in the pipeline to be launched and in the service. In addition to that, we know that in China itself there are also another probably 2 or 3 constellation is coming up. One is probably focused purely on the domestic market for China, and there's another one that is looking for the global market. And in fact, I think this company itself, they already launched the first 2 batch of the satellite, so they are coming. Again, as I say that we are very a strong supporter for partnership. So we welcome all this constellation. So we will focus on what we are good at and we leverage on those technologies and services that are available. So I think that's the market to decide who's going to stay, who's going to be out.
Thank you. And I think we're almost at the end of the session, so that may be closing remarks, but still, well, we had our issues, including in Europe in the last couple of weeks, but thinking of end-to-end integration and solutions and satellite supporting sustainability or disaster mitigation, etc. So is there a role to play next as well, maybe to MNOs or other players to also define solutions? We talked about defense, but also for resilience purpose. So restoration of networks, backup capabilities for either industry, critical sites, etc. We see that kind of regulatory requirement or push to some MNOs in some other part of the world to have more and more of that resilience or more transportable, easily deployable units to address those rising climate change issues that they appear country to country. So is it an area where operators can or satellite businesses can contribute as well to have more that where satellite can contribute as a reactive solutions to some of those daily issues as we're facing them?
Yeah. No matter what happens, in order to survive, you have to find your value. And the value depends on the demand, be it from the market, from the government, or whatever.
So, I mean, in Malaysia, we do have a well-defined regulatory framework. So it's up to those operators themselves to how to kind of comply with the local requirement. So I think that's probably the first criteria. If they are complying with all those requirements, then of course we are open to work with anyone that they can provide those services.
So JSAT is now facing challenge. So facing with some threat of Starlink, Kuiper, and many things. So main key focus is diversify business portfolios. So once we can confirm monetize as fast and much as possible, we like to focus on those businesses.
Thank you. Daniel, some final development takeaways? No? Okay. I think we may be at the end of the time we had for this morning. Yes, I'm pushed outside of the stage almost. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing your views on some of the dynamics in the industry or the challenge to be the first roundtable. So thank you again so much to get it started and to you for being with us this morning. Thank you so much. And we'll be leaving the floor for the next thing happening, keynote speech, I believe.